So, hello everyone, and welcome back to STW Sports. And today, I'm joined by Swindon Town fan Dean Haddrell. Well, welcome to the show, Dean. And first question I'm going to ask you: the Sky Bet League Two season is around about a week away from kicking off. How are you feeling going into it as a Swindon fan?
Very confident now we've got a new owner and a new manager. I would take mid-table. Speaking now, let's see how many signings we manage to get over the line before next week, and that may change.
I mean, obviously, with this, it's kind of like a new lease of life for the club, really. Obviously, there was so much negativity last season, obviously. Obviously, the relegation didn't really come as a surprise to many people, but how did you feel about it, would you say, last season as a whole?
Last season as a whole was terrible. One thing, it was behind closed doors, and there's no connection with the fans. That was very hard. But watching it on iFollow, and the performances were dreadful, and the manager John Sheridan wasn't liked by us fans. And in the end, it was inevitable that we were going to go down, and we had to accept it, brace ourselves, and hopefully now, with a new chairman and etc., it's a new era, and we can hopefully push back up to where we belong.
I mean, obviously, the 1920 season, a bit of a strange season, obviously, with the pandemic and going up as champions on the points per game system. Yeah. Do you think that, obviously, title win was obviously great, but do you think that may have, papered over the cracks a little bit at the club of what was going on at the time? And do you think you were maybe unprepared going into League One?
Yeah, I think we had a really good season, 1920, under Richie Wellens. We had some amazing crowds before the pandemic hit. I think it was mid-March. But there's obviously problems behind closed doors and behind the scenes with the chairman then. But due to the team performances, and we were doing really well, no one really noticed that. Went into League One, and the performances went downhill. No fans at stadiums. And then us fans started noticing that there were a lot of uncertainty behind doors, behind closed doors, and that's when we started to realise that the chairman, who we did have lead power at the time, was no good for our club.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier on the John Sheridan era was one to forget, to be honest, for everyone at the club. But a new era is now with Ben Garner, kind of an inexperienced manager, of course. Only had a brief spell at Bristol Rovers last season and the season before with over separate seasons. But what are you thinking going into this? You think the new owner coming in as well is going to be a big boost for everyone at the club, and of course maybe for Garner himself?
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to this season with Ben Gardner. I'm quite pleased with the appointment. His record at Bristol Rovers wasn't that great. However, if you look at Richie Wellens' record when he took over Swindon, he didn't really have a record. He wasn't really a proven manager, no experience, and he took us to the top of the league, and he won us the league points per game, whatever. But he took us there. So I'm quite pleased with it. I think I met Ben Gardner away at Weymouth last week at a Preseason friendly. Had a quick chat. Really nice chap, and personally, his style of football seemed quite good and quite pleasing.
A lot of comings and goings over the summer. A lot of goings, of course. Obviously with the situation the club we're in is understandable. But going into the new season, though, do you think it's going to be you expecting maybe a new squad, really, like a new era altogether, not just off the pitch but on the pitch as well with the players? And how excited does that make you, really? And do you think maybe like Bolton last season, it will take time to gel?
Yeah, I think we've got two signings in already, in Ben Gladwin and Joe Ward, the goalie. Two good signings. I think Gladwin's had quite a few spells at the club now, but a really good player. A few players from last year have stayed, Jack Payne, etc. I'm really looking forward to it. I think us Swindon Town fans should not worry if results aren't going our way at the start of the season. I think we should give it to October, a bit like Bolton last year. Give it to October. I think if we will gel, and I think we will take on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you say, it does sometimes take a bit of time to gel a new team, of course, a bit of a new era at the club altogether, as I've already touched on. But obviously, all the pre-season games are building up to that opening game away to Scunthorpe. But tomorrow, I believe, is the return of fans to the county ground against Peterborough United. Obviously, if you are going, which I assume you will be, how excited are you for the first time in nearly 18 months to have fans, back in the county ground and singing again? And obviously, it's been a tough time without them for the club. So very exciting, I imagine.
Yeah, I can't wait. Really looking forward to it. I got my ticket for the game yesterday, for the friendly tomorrow. Really looking forward to it, to get back out there with with my friends and see old faces again. It'd be really good to get back to my home.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know obviously it's pre-season and obviously people will go out, the results don't matter, but Peterborough are a club who just got promoted to the Championship. So do you think maybe a win? I mean, obviously, we don't know what team they're going to put out or what you're going to put out for that matter, but do you think if you were to win, that would give the team confidence though?
I think if he were to win, it would be a bonus. I'm not too sure what team he is going to play. I mean, last week at Weymouth, we started off strong in the first half, and the second half was complete trialist. There wasn't one first team player. So it'd be interesting to see what team he does put out tomorrow, first and second half. But if we can get a win or even just a draw, that would give us a lot of confidence. But I think the main thing about pre-season is just getting the players to gel together. And it'd also be interesting to see a bit more about Ben Gardner's way of football, the way he plays, the way he wants the team to play. From what I see at Weymouth, it is very passive. It's quite side to side, trying to unlock teams, which was quite interesting to watch. But hopefully, after an extra week of training that he's had, we can see more of that tomorrow, and we can see more of what they worked on in a week.
Of course, that first game obviously against Peterborough in pre-season is going to be interesting having the fans back. But the first league game, I believe, is against Carlisle United. How excited are you to get back in for a league game? Obviously, last time fans were in, like you say, it was a good mood around the club, really, obviously on the verge of promotion, which obviously came prematurely because of the pandemic. But obviously, without the fans, Swindon are a club you can argue got affected the most, really. I mean, obviously, really struggled and a lack of connection. Do you feel like the fans will propel the team forward this season as well through the tougher times, so to speak?
Definitely, yeah. I think we look back at Richie Wellens' era, and if you look at a few of his or listen to a few of his interviews, he even said then there's a few games that we wouldn't have won if it wasn't for the fans and the atmosphere. There were times where we were getting 10, 11,000 at the county ground. The last game with fans at the county ground was against Forest Green, and there was 10,500 fans there. And I think going into Carlisle, which is the first home game of the season with fans, I do think we can get around 9,000-10,000. I think it'll be a great atmosphere, and I think hopefully that will spur us on to getting victories.
Okay, yeah, we're going to take a trip down memory lane now and ask you about your favourite ever Swindon Town. I'm going to say player. Who's this player for you stood out over the years?
My favourite ever player, I'd have to say, is Simon Cox. He was my all-time hero. So Simon Cox, but you got Charlie Austin, who I've been very fortunate to have met a few times. But also recently, I've developed a close relationship with Lee Peacock, which is an Swindon Town player. I always see him out and about in town, and he always stops for a chat. And nice bloke, and he's one who I always liked as a player as well.
Yeah, and manager, of course. I mean, obviously had a few managers over the years, but which one stands out for you?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say either Danny Wilson, just because he got us to Wembley for my first time at Wembley against Millwall. Di Canio, you had to say Di Canio. That was enjoyable. But even Richie Wellens, took us to a place where he created a great atmosphere at the county ground, and made a lot of memories that year under Wellens. So out of them three, I couldn't decide.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Obviously, you can have a few favourites. And final question about the memories. I'm going to ask favourite ever Swindon Town moment, like obviously since you've been alive, whether it be a game or, mainly a game or a goal, perhaps.
So a game, it would have to be Sheffield United in the playoff semi-final when it was 5-5. We won 7-6 in aggregate. That game was unbeatable. I still watch it on YouTube today, and I still get nervous when I'm watching it. My favourite ever Swindon Town goal, I'm going to have to say Gladwin against Sheffield United in the playoffs on the half volley from outside the box to put us 1-0 up. That was a real goal.
I still think that's one of the best games I've ever seen. So I'm glad you said that. That is one of the best games as a neutral I've ever seen. So I can perfectly understand where you're coming from there. And a final question for you, please. Just a prediction on where you think Swindon Town will finish in Sky Bet League 2 next season, if you're to predict right now.
I would take mid-table, 12th, 13th. I'll be over the moon with that.
Okay, and just another question as well to throw in. Which teams next season do you think in League 2 are the favourites? So who do you think maybe is the biggest threat in League 2 next season?
Biggest threat, I have to say Exeter, because they are always up there, roundabouts, aren't they? I think they could. This could be their year to go up this year. one team to watch out for, I had to say Hartlepool. I think they could be a surprise team this year.
Yep, that's absolutely fair enough. But that's all we've got time for in terms of questions anyway today, Dean. But thank you very much for joining me, and good luck to Swindon Town in the coming season.
Thank you very much.